First and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahshai, Bashim Rakakadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who and teach all sound doctrine, and peace and blessings to the elect. Now, this is just another article basically on the cost of living increasing, which another way of saying that well, just as it says, the amount of money that you need to live on, so to speak, has gone up by due to different factors, maybe increased price of food, increased price of, say, rent. Mortgages, to the best of my knowledge, they usually stay at a stationary, it's usually a fixed amount that you pay over a set amount of time, so I don't really think that applies. But uh, things like energy and different things like that can cause the cost of living to increase, because energy is something that you need to live on, because things in your house are powered by energy. For example, electric and gas, both forms of energy. You can't really have anything in your house. For example, you can't really make food, anything in your house without 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 gas or electric. Now, you can now someone can say that, oh, I'll just light a fire in my backyard, but be realistic. They, you're not doing that every day. Even if you do it, because a lot of people say it, but I know they're definitely not gonna do it. Because even I'm from Jamaica as well, and I don't see that happening. We don't do that every day, man. You might do it like a little celebration or whatnot, but nah. But that's just me anyway. But anyway, you can see here, it looks like a woman doing shopping with a basket. More than a third of people across England, Wales, and Scotland are cutting back on food and essentials in order to help with the cost of living. A new survey has shown. So they're not getting as much food as they usually would, because there has been an increase in the cost of living, and this is their approach to kind of deal with that. And it doesn't even mention that they may have been able to get food in abundance at one point, some of these people, but they may have had to cut it down, or some people may have gotten more food than they needed, but now they're just getting just enough. So there's different ways of looking at that, because we know that the energy situation is said that there's going to be issues in the winter. So we're gonna see how the Lord has that go. In order to help the cost of living, a new survey has showed the research carried out on Slovakia, and the more the cost of living increases, like things like rent, people may not even be able to afford their accommodation. If they can't afford their accommodation, then they may be able to buy fruit and whatnot, but they can't really buy stuff that they can cook. They can go to someone's house, that they may know, but I'm just speaking of it as a certain standpoint, as they won't have their own house to do their own cooking, but they may be able to go to someone else's. That's where, in fact, I have that lined up. It's 2 Ezra 15 and 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy the houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. Now, the lack of bread could be just a matter of them, could be not only a matter of the famine, but a matter of them also not being able to afford it, because like I said, prices due to hyperinflation and rising cost of living and different things like that could lead them to be able to get less food until eventually they start to get less food than they need, and it just gets less and less. So what they're gonna do, they may see somebody with a whole abundance of food. Now of desperation can make you do some crazy things. So when because they're desperate, they may want to, they may go to rob that person. I'll share I'll share desperation. But anyway, back to the article. The research carried out by the Office for National Statistics found that figure was even higher for some groups. These included disabled people, those renting, and those with lower income. Like I said, renting, that would be the one that increases because a mortgage is more fixed. Now, interest can go up. I'm not the best when I don't really have not an expert when it comes down to mortgages because I don't really have one. But I think interest rate is the only thing that can really affect a mortgage because it's more of a fixed amount, and even so, it's spread across a long period of time. It comes as the UK forecast to fall into recession this year, with the longest downturn since 2008 predicted. The largest figure from the ONS suggests 9 in 10, or around 46 million people, have seen their cost of living go up in a month. Now, considering 46 million, that's a lot. That's a good amount of people. Maybe it doesn't seem like that much if you're from the US, but in the UK, 46, there's like 70 million people. Now let's do some math here. All right, so we got 46 million people divided by, I think it's 70, and then you just times this by 100. So that's like 65.7%. That's almost that's a higher percentage. I think that's almost 2/3, because 2/3 is 67%. The research carried out between the end of March. Let me just add this thing. So the almost 2/3 of the population of the UK have now it could be 2/3 because that was just an estimate, because I believe it is 70 million, the population of the UK, but I can't remember the exact figures, being as it is in the millions, but it's around that. So imagine around 2/3 of the population of the UK has experienced an increase of their cost of living. And that's scary to think, that's something to think about. That's why you can't ignore these little things that happen, because a big thing is nothing but a big thing started off as a small thing, and then it grew. And June 19 suggests that more than half are reducing how much gas and electricity they use at home, with a figure rising to nearly 6 in 10 older people aged 55 and 74. Now, the older people may more than likely be on pension, which is something they build up from the job that they got, and then they get state pension from. Well, speaking over here for the UK, they get a state pension from the government as well, which is a fixed amount that I think it's every month. The data also suggested that 57% of people who had seen their cost of living go up were spending less on non-essential items, and 42% were cutting back on non-essential journeys in their vehicles. A government spokesperson said, "We have continually taken action to help households by phasing in £37 billion worth of support throughout the year, which includes specific support to help people through the difficult winter ahead." Now it's interesting, it said winter, because what did the scripture say? Pray that your flight be not in the winter. So we know that things they often get more serious in the winter. And like I said in a previous video, this summer's been it's been very good weather. Now, I remember I was speaking to a taxi driver. I said to him, there's never been a summer that's had very good weather that hasn't led to a terrible winter. So he said, you know what, you're right. So I only speak as a man, but we'll see what the Lord does. But that was just me saying that there's never been a good summer without a terrible winter. Where am I up to? Which includes specific support to help people through the difficult winter ahead. Or everyone will receive £400 over the winter to help with their energy bills. Yesterday, the Bank of England said it expected inflation, the rate at which prices are rising, to hit more than 13%, and that's 13% on top of the original amount. Really, it should be really you read a percent is like when they say 13%, that's 13% on top of the original percent. So you could say that it's 113 because the 100 is the original amount and the 13% is what's adding on. In response, it announced that it was raising the interest rate to 1.75. I wonder if that's the interest. I'm not sure if that's the interest rate to pay stuff back or the interest rate on the accounts, because in the like when you have money in the account, say I think it's every year, depending on what account and which bank you're with, it gets money put into it. The bank's aim is to control inflation by making people borrow more expensive and encouraging people to spend less and save more. The higher interests have an impact on those with loans, including mortgages. Yeah, that's true, because you take out a loan to put on a mortgage, because they require, I think it's a deposit of 5%. Mortgage payments have risen by 270. That must be due to the interest, because like I said, the mortgages, they usually spread out over a large period of time. Because you could pay a mortgage back over 25 years. Not saying that but there is the option. I seen when I was looking at a house online, I seen the option. Kaylee Farmer told BBC she and